call it the Speedy Fingers. It's a typing test application. Basically, it's if you've seen online, it's a basically typing test. Users given a minute to type as many words as they can, and so we measure their speed through that. We hard coded like around 50 words in a table, and the LCD display calls a word, and the user, it displays it on the first line of the LCD, and the user types it on the second line of the LCD. And so you press enter to move forward, and basically it counts how many number of correct words, and at the end of a minute it displays how many words per minute you type. So this is our system block diagram, the MicroBlaze processor. Basically the only new component we added was a UART to interface with the keyboard to grab all the characters from send, and we initialize the GPIOs and the time. The LCD, like it as in Lab 2 that we learned, displays the output for us. Basically, it shows anything that the keyboard sends the data, we put it out on the display.
And for the timer counter, it's we used it similarly like our previous lab, where we use it to generate a 1 second interval interrupt. And what that does is keep track of time for our game. And then we use the OPB UART Lite for communicating with the keyboard. It uses the PS2 keyboards, and it connects through the PMOD module, which converts into UART, and the Nexus board can get the data from the keyboard.
I'm going to walk you through our main flowchart pretty much. So we initialize the hardware, which includes initialize the GPIOs, the buttons, the LCD display, and the keyboard, or the timer. We write the new words to the LCD on line 1, and basically the user reads the keyboard input, they copy the words. So for example, the first word is CP, so the user types CP. They press enter. If the program checks if the word matches. If yes, it increments the number of words per minute. If no, it checks how many words are left. If there's still more words, it outputs the next word. And basically, if you reach the max number of words, which is 50, we'll print the message of how many words per minute you type, but no one's reached over 50 words per minute yet. So next up is interrupt handler.
So this is our general flowchart for our interrupt handler. So all it does is print out the time, or the time remaining, and then it checks whether there's still time remaining, and if there is, it'll decrement the second. Or when the time runs out, when it eventually hits 0 seconds, we print out a message saying telling the user how many words per minute they typed.
Basically, we just went over the mainline code and the interrupt handler.
So to make sure that this application worked, we tested 3 different things. We kind of spread it out or split it up into 3 parts. One was making sure the time was handled correctly, and then we made sure that the keyboard read in the proper keys, and the game operation to make sure whether the calculating of the words per minute was correct or not. So to go into more detail, for the time, first we made sure we blinked the LED according to the interrupt, just to so we could compare with actual real time to see if it's actually holding the right time. And then we print the time on the top right corner of the LCD screen. And then for the keyboard, as we type each character, we're adding it, aggregating it into a buffer. It's a 12-character buffer, so these words only have a max of 12 characters. And we had to make sure that as you type characters and you delete characters, it has to keep the proper, keep track of which characters are still in the buffer. And then for the game operation, we had to make sure that for each word, when the user types enter the word for comparison, that it only increments the words per minute when the word actually matches character for character.
I think some problems we ran into was interfacing the keyboard. So we actually kind of got it early, but when we pressed different keys on the keyboard, different symbols would come out instead of the right character. And after a while, we figured out it was the baud rate was wrong, and so we had to calculate a new baud rate. When we finally got that working, one of the big things that we use the delete key. So if you, in case you type the word incorrectly, you want to backspace and delete the character and then retype the new character. That was kind of tricky for us to interface, but we got that working. So this is our how many slices we use. We actually use a lot this time, over 80%. A lot larger than our previous labs, but that's because we hard coded a lot of the words into the table and then underlines codes. So we're ready to demo. But pretty much the LCD display here. Here's the word that the user needs to type, and here this countdown timer goes from 1 minute to 0. And we're over there at bench 16. You have to do browse back basically.
Think outside.
So we actually had several different CP329 students test it earlier, and it was working fine. But now the keyboard sometimes it hangs, and so if I press A, sometimes it'll like stick and won't display the character unless I press it hard enough. So I'm not sure if
That
that's
was a really weird issue. We just came across it earlier, right before class.
so.
Well,
yeah,
When we did a final test right before class, the keyboard, because it did this before, but last night it was working and
actually it was working all the way up till 2 p.m. and then
working 2 p.m.
or
yeah.
3 p.m. and then
Yeah.
it stopped. So we'll see what happens. There's
So,
an introduction countdown sequence.
There's a welcome screen. It just basically says tells the user to get ready. It then tells it 3, 2, 1, and then tell you to start typing.
CPU, LCD, MicroBlaze. I'll show you the delete command. Yeah, see, some of the keys stick now.
So most of these words were just basically CP329 vocabulary. So we got words like MicroBlaze and LCD and UART, yeah.
Hardware. One of the problems we might be, I'm not sure if the USB is driving enough power, because sometimes on my laptop the keyboard wouldn't have enough power to run, and on like the other computer over there I can get like 38 words per minute, and over here it's like 16 max or sometimes. Okay, 7 seconds left. So I only typed 9 words per minute. That's really bad. But the max I've ever gotten was 38 on that computer. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if it's the USB is the problem, but or I'm not sure if we knocked something on the PS2 port and now it's like buggy. But yeah.
Is the keyboard the keys themselves sticking, or is it?
Like this morning it was completely fine.
Yeah, we think it maybe the USB, maybe it doesn't have enough voltage, maybe.
Mhm.
Because on that computer it's
That's
like
what-
perfect. So
it's flaky.
yeah.
Yeah, we're suspecting it's the power to the board, the Nexus board, which is powering the keyboard. Maybe that's not enough voltage to handle it. Because like he said, it didn't work on his laptop when he had this hooked up to the a USB hub.
That's probably a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's enough just to get it
Right,
started. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's it. You can restart too. But
Our button 2 does a restart.